The question we're asking on today's video essentially boils down to, are you buying yourself a business or a job? Um, a lot of people get confused on this, and actually, this is something that I realize I did and do a lot, and I'm recovering from it in the last few months. So the difference between owning a business and owning a job is really your role within the income making structure. So if you're trying to build a side business, is your idea scalable? Can you multiply yourself or multiply what's done, like increase pay while decreasing or maintaining the same number of hours and responsibilities for yourself? Here are 3 questions you need to ask yourself when looking at this, because a lot of us will say, I have a business, or I'm in business, or I'm self-employed, or I own these companies. But really what you own is a job with a fluctuating income and sometimes no income at all. We have to pay our dues. We have to establish things or whatever. And we find ourselves moving from one task to the next and never quite hitting that income that we need. And so we go on to the next thing and we bounce from thing to thing. So ask yourself these questions so you can evaluate where you are and then you can adjust accordingly. Number 1, can it run without you? And if not, you bought yourself a job. Now, I am not saying that you simply, let's use an example of a franchise like a McDonald's or a Wendy's or a Chick-fil-A or Burger King, and you invest money into that business and then you just walk away and have people run it. The people who run those as franchise owners do have involvement in the business. It just may not be the day-to-day operations. If you own, I don't know, anything. So I'm not saying that you just put money into it and you ignore it and that's the definition of a business. You may still work in it. I know somebody, my stepdad worked at a car dealership, and so he knew the owners of the car dealership. And they worked to varying degrees in and on the business. They were in charge of innovation. They were in charge of updates. They were in charge of systems. They were in charge of a bunch of different things. They were not on the floor selling the cars. So they did still have a company and a business and a job. But as the company grew, their time involved in responsibilities and things changed. They didn't grow. In fact, they probably went down because I know they had time to invest in other things as well. So if it could not run without you at all, like if you are becoming, real estate's my big thing. So if you're a real estate investor and you're doing everything in that business, then you have bought yourself a job. If you are maintaining the properties and you are evaluating all the deals and you are dealing with all tenant inquiries and all these things, you have bought yourself a job. If you do not learn how to delegate and be scalable, as your business grows, you just become more and more stressed and it finally stops at your ability, or you become a slumlord because you're not able to keep on top of it. I don't think slumlords are always bad people that go out to try to make a buck off of people. I think sometimes that is the case, but I think sometimes it's people who overextend themselves and don't grow at a reasonable pace and delegate effectively, who just can't keep on top of everything. And so other people just don't do their job because they're not being monitored and it all falls apart. So if it can it run without you? If not, you bought a job. Number 2, what do you want to focus on to outsource? Can you do that? If not, why are you doing this business? So let me use an example here. Let's say you have a small office. I don't care. You sell widgets, paper clips, whatever. Maybe you don't like answering calls. You like focusing on finding the newest, greatest widget and coming up with a way to market it and identifying potential customers. You don't want to sell it directly, and you don't want to answer daily phone calls for reorders and things. If you are not able to work at a volume that allows you to delegate those things, or if you don't have the initial capital to allow you to delegate those so you can grow to make your profits such that you can be paid in addition to delegating these things, you have bought yourself a job, not a business. Number 3, do you have limiting beliefs that are keeping the idea from being scalable? So do you go in thinking maybe it's wrong for you to pass it off to people, or that you do have to pay your dues, or these kind of things? If you have those kinds of beliefs, you are going to be limited to your ability to work within that business, and your limitations will be the business's limitations. This is why in my 20s and 30s, I was not successful at my business. I did not have the capital to make it scalable. I had a small business loan that allowed me to make it bigger at first, but what happened was, because I had bought myself a job, it was a creative, I was running a publishing house and I was the primary ghostwriter, as well as the coach and the mentor, and everything had to bottleneck through me. So I was creating content for the blogs. I was creating the products. I was creating the edits. I was putting together all the different things. The only thing I outsourced was I had a secretary that helped me with general inquiries and kind of communicating between the cover designers and the printers and the editors, and posting things to my blog for me and formatting PDFs for me. She did those kind of things 20 hours a week, which was awesome. I loved her. She was a great asset to me. And she helped me to grow. But the problem was, my limiting beliefs were I wanted to keep things affordable, which meant under $500, which meant there was no profit margin for me to be paid. So I literally for 2 years went without a paycheck, because the loan that I took out, I was still paying on. So that was outgo. I was paying for payrolls, W-2 employees, and I was paying the subcontractors and all those things. But I couldn't write off the principal on my loan, only the interest. And so the little bitty margin that I was maintaining was eaten up by that principal. So there wasn't actually money going in my pocket, even though I showed a profit. So I had to pay self-employment tax on those profits, and I had to pay a babysitter to watch my kids in the afternoons when I was doing this wonderful, glorious job. So what I bought myself was a job. It could have been a business if I hadn't had those limiting beliefs on pricing limitations, because people were charging 5 and 10 times what I was charging. But I was trying to be nice. My goal was to hit the segment of the market that was not represented by these tremendously high fees. But what I found out is, after I got in there, there's a reason that there were tremendously high fees. Also, I found out I was trying to do a risk return. And for those of you who would like to try, who are very business minded and think this is a great idea, what I did is I had a lower price on my product, on creating the book, on the editing, the proofreading, all these things. And then I had the publishing house, and I got a percentage of each book, actually a flat fee for each book printed, for the first, I think it was 2 years. The problem was, people are not motivated. And so whereas if I had been given that opportunity, I would go out like gangbusters. And I did. I printed my own books and I sold them like crazy. And I did well doing that. And that was about the only income that I had coming in at any given point, which usually just covered my gas and hotels and things to these events that I was driving to, and a very small additional amount. But other people were like, oh, cool, I wrote this book. Yay. And then they would give them out to all their friends. So they'd buy 10 or 20 copies and that was it. Well, that wasn't enough of a margin for me. So when you're considering, if you're trying to build your side business, you need to make sure it's something that you can delegate. If there's a family emergency, your business doesn't completely shut down. If there is massive growth, that it's not limited to the hours that you have to work, but that there are things you can outsource. And in creative things, that can be very hard. So you've got to figure out how you can do things scalably. This YouTube channel is growing at the rate it is because I have a couple of really great talented people who are helping me by doing the timestamps for me and typing up the little blurb for me. They look at my notes, they listen to my video, and they help with doing that. Well, when I'm posting up these videos every day, it may not seem like a lot, but it takes about a little over an hour of work between me and them to make one 10-minute video. So that's 30 hours of work in a month, plus on top of whatever else I have. By them taking over that other piece, it makes it doable for me. So it is scalable, and I can spend the time researching the information and providing you with real meaningful information and doing marketing research and things like that. So even with this, it's not a business. I'm not making any money. This is my ministry, really, to try to help people to get to where I'm talking about and where I'm at now, because where I was 15 years ago was nowhere. And I had no money, no food, where a lot of people are seeing themselves head right now. If you are looking at your bank account and there are $0 and 0 cents there, and you are literally digging through your couch cushions looking for enough money to buy a single roll of toilet paper, that's where I was. If you are watching family members not eat for days, that is where I was. If you are living off of a pound of beans for an entire week and you can't even afford to buy eggs or bananas or fruit of any kind for your family, not even vegetables, not even seeds to plant them, that is where I was. And now I'm not, and I'm trying to share that with you. But part of the reason I was there is I had limiting mindsets that told me I had to do it a certain way, and I wasn't willing to think about creative ways of doing it. I saw money as a necessity, and now I see money as a tool. And so if you've had those kind of things or had those kind of aha moments, or you've made the same kind of mistake, share it below. If you think this would be helpful for someone, please, please, please share it, like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate the input. Look at my archived videos on some of the business ideas and see maybe if there's something that would work for you there. But the biggest thing is, it's okay to be like an accountant, a tax preparer. Obviously, it's okay to be an author. But when you're trying to find a side hustle or trying to find a means to provide for your family and growth, you need to make sure that you're building in the idea and the fee structure that allows this to be scalable. There is a book, I think it's called The No BS Time Management System. It's something along those lines. I was reading that a few months ago. That is a very interesting, little bit extreme for me, but because he absolutely limits his availability to clients. But it was a wake-up call for me, and it got me to shift my thinking. So that might be something that helps you too. I thank you for watching this video, and tomorrow I'm going to be talking about working with the wrong kinds of people. So I hope you'll join me on that video. I'll see you then.